course, I am on mute. Thank you for letting me know that. Man, I was cooking. Probably have to edit this out. But anyways, guys, welcome back to the channel again. It's been a pretty crazy day today. We've had a lot of volatility, through the markets today. Very, 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 very crazy day. I've had a lot of messages from different people, asking me where Bitcoin's going, what the future is. We've had a lot of exchanges selling off today. Kraken, Crypto.com, Coinbase, and of course Binance, a lot of the usual suspects. But one that was kind of a little shocking was World Liberty Financial. They sold $5 million worth of Bitcoin, and also Vitalik Buterin has also been selling a little bit of Ethereum. So, guys, this is definitely a day that we can all kind of reflect on, where you should have not been invested in crypto. I see a lot of people are making memes and poking fun at us. And look, this is the part of the cycle, man, where you gotta kind of just laugh at it, and just kind of relax and really just take a deep breath. There's a few times today where I had to kind of just get some air. It's not that I was scared, but look, let's be real, man. Some of us have lost some pretty good money, and some of us are down a lot of money, and this is the part that just sucks. But look, this is a lot with even personals, like spiritual walks, and even going to the gym. We want results immediately. I think a lot of investors, and even myself at times, guys, I want to see results immediately, and that's the problem with that a lot of people have, is that they want immediate results. And look, guys, I think that people that are hopping in this market now, you guys are having almost a generational opportunity to make really good buys. Some people got in a little late in the cycle and they're a little bummed out. And, honestly, guys, you should probably just maybe think about things a little bit differently. You're actually getting an opportunity to kind of rewrite a lot of your story. You got in at a pretty bad time of the market. I think I've always done a pretty good job of letting people know where we were in the cycle. And, here we are. So look, we went down here to close to 58K almost. I think we kind of flash wicked for a second down here. I think some exchanges are going to read it differently. On mine, I saw about 49,900 for a second, and maybe 60K on others. But, is this over? Are we going to be seeing any lower prices? Look, nobody knows, man. Everybody that I'm seeing right now, their price targets have been eliminated. Even some of mine's, let's be real. I was calling 74K, even down here to even 68. And we just been blowing through them, guys. And a lot of this is just because, look, we have a lot of uncertainty ever since, Kevin Warsh got into office. And then, we had the whole stuff going on with the Epstein list. There's been a lot of things that have transpired. I shared some stuff with you guys about, my thoughts about the Epstein list. I know a lot of people were kind of digging in on a little bit, but now that it's starting to really hit stocks and people are starting to see that this really is maybe a potential black swan event. The whole part of, Epstein, creating Bitcoin, I think that's complete rubbish. I don't think that's true at all, but there cannot be no denying that Jeffrey Epstein had his hands in a lot of assets. He was a very, very early investor in Coinbase, a very early investor in Palantir, a lot of these bigger stocks. And coincidentally, these are really down bad. Look, is there a lot of stuff that's happening, globally with, macroeconomics? Of course. But at the same time, guys, look, we're going into a whole different ball game. There's a whole lot of different sentiments going around, and there's a whole lot of fear. And one thing that I can tell you, that crypto is pretty much like a magnifying glass of the economic system, where if crypto begins to sense issues, you'll start to see cracks and crinkles in the market through crypto first. So, look, the stock market is starting to show signs of weakness. The NASDAQ starting to show double tops. Obviously the move has already happened with cryptocurrency. So now we need to figure out what the move is. So in my personal opinion, again, guys, I always got to say that I'm not a financial advisor. This is the way I'm playing things. I'm just going to continue to play the course. I'm going to be sticking with the layer ones that, in my opinion, have a higher probability of staying power. But also, I'm going to kind of tone down a little bit on the buying aggressively. Yes, in my personal opinion, a lot of these altcoins may have 10 to 15, 20% more dumping to go. I think maybe the majority of it's done. But at the same time, guys, Bitcoin is at a very, very confusing level of where it's hard to read. We're sitting at almost 60K. Altcoins are down 90%. And if we go down to 50, even 48K, I can't even possibly imagine what altcoins may look like. So we've talked about this again, even prior videos. We've talked about this many times that there's a possibility that a lot of these altcoins may go to zero. And look, I get it, that may not sound nice to a lot of people, but look, we have to understand that, look, there's too many coins in this space, and a lot of them have absolutely no use case at all. So, look, I try to stay with the ones that have retail and even institutional integration in the stock market. That doesn't mean that, they're going to be, immune to whatever's happening here in the markets. But I'm willing to bet a small percentage of my portfolio, that some of these will end up being winners. So I do want to go over Bitcoin real quick. I think a lot of times that, we talk about altcoins a lot on this channel, and look, we have to kind of just stick with the fundamentals right now, which is going to be Bitcoin and a few different altcoins, and we'll revisit different stuff later on. But like I said, I do want to do my due diligence and make sure that I'm here for the community. Okay. All right. So shout out to my boy Catching Rockets. Me and him are both in the KGU, and we were talking about where BTC was going. I was like, hey, look, I think we're going to stay around this 68, 74 region. He said 64. And then we came back down. We broke below 64, obviously. So I guess we're both not right. But I think he was a little bit closer to where his target was. But like I said, it is what it is. At the end of the day, look, Bitcoin's going to go where it's going to go. And the object for us is to try to accumulate it at the best area where we can get it at. All right, let's see. Let me pull up some. My trading view is kind of glitchy. Give me a second, guys, real quick. What's up, P? How you doing, brother? It's been a crazy day, man. Let's see. 1 second. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so obviously we lost all these levels already. So right now I'm still leaning around this 58K. I'm keeping this eye on this area on the radar, 61,350. Okay, I think it's a little too short to start shorting right now. So I'm gonna just kind of keep an eye on this. When we start breaking below here, I'm gonna probably enter a short. This will probably likely be a scalp short, but initially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out around here in this area around 55, 53,000. That's where we were last year around September when we had that low, to see if we can catch a bounce there, or the 58,000 level. Okay, now I still believe that we're going to get a relief rally. I know as crazy as it sounds, I truly believe that we're going to hit something around this area. Maybe this is the relief rally that we may get. Right now we may get a push up to 74, 75,000, or maybe hopefully closer to this 80,000. I do recommend, again, guys, not financial advice, that if you guys are down, 50, 60, 70% on altcoins and we get this relief rally, I urge you to please de-risk and take off some chips from the table. I've been kind of telling you guys over and over about this, but I understand that some people are kind of not checking their portfolios right now. They're down, and it's just kind of like, energy sapping. But this is going to require a lot of people to tap in and to pay attention. So, I do recommend, guys, like I said, if we get this relief rally and we get a bounce up, in these areas, you guys at least put stop losses, take something off the table, and really pay attention to see if we can start holding key levels. But I'm really convinced, guys, that, we will get something. It may not be like, back to in the 90s or 100,000s, but I do believe that we are looking for some type of bounce in the next few days or within the week. Okay. One coin that I am really surprised that it's not, super low is Ethereum. We did say earlier in the beginning of the video that, Vitalik Buterin was selling off a little bit of ETH. He was funding his charity projects. I know a lot of people are saying that he's dumping massive, but honestly, guys, look, the guy bought it, cents on the dollar, and he's pretty much selling at basically half off from where we were a few months ago. So in my opinion, it's not that bad as everybody's making it seem. We have that order block set up here at 1720, and then another order down here at 1588. So that's the areas that I'm looking to be buying ETH. I bought some right now at 1800. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep DCAing into this area. I got about a good $15,000-$20,000 in my Roth that I'm going to continue to keep buying at that level. So as long as we stay under this 2,000, in my opinion, I think that's a really good area to start buying it at. I know a lot of people that were top blasting and on that 6K thing. I never thought that we were going to head that high, but it was, I don't think anybody really thought that this was going to get hit to this magnitude. So luckily I do have dry powder, and I'm going to be accumulating, anywhere between, this $1,800 and $1,500 zone, and you have some more buy zones down here in that $1,300 area. Now, if we start seeing a 40K, 30K Bitcoin, which I know I see a lot of influencers coming out saying that, yes, there is a possibility that we could come down sub 1,900 Ethereum. In that level, guys, I would be probably liquidating all my Pokemon memorabilia that I have, and probably just buying and not even trying to look at my portfolio for the next year or two. So in my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to head that low, but I personally didn't think we'd be at this level either. So we just got to take that with a grain of salt. Okay, real quick, XRP is sitting at 124.89, so about 125. I did say for you guys to keep this 125 on the radar, but I also gave you guys an updated one that I'm looking anywhere between $1.07 to even 87 cents for XRP. Now we got some order blocks down here around 88 cents where I said, and even at $1.07. So, XRP's down almost 45% in the last week. Really big drop off, 42% to be exact. And you guys, you got to remember, look, this coin has been holding up very strong for the last few weeks and even months. Well, a lot of these altcoins have been getting smashed. XRP has been doing good, but I always told you guys that, look, when we start losing these key levels right here, that was obviously, letting us know that this was going to happen. So, right now we need to go back into October, around 2024. This is going to be our biggest blueprint for a lot of these other altcoins. They're going to tell us, basically where the trouble is going to be at. So right now we're unfortunately underneath that level. So the next level is going to be around November. So November, we were sitting at $1.08. And then the next level right here was going to be at 89 cents. So those are a few areas, like I said, again, that I'm going to be buying at. I know there's a lot of people saying that, XRP is going to go back to, 60 cents, 50 cents. Look, it's a possibility. But for right now, I like to go level by level. Like I said, again, you have $1,000. What I would do is drop, 200 in each one of these levels. And stop trying to time the market. Nobody's going to be able to do that. It's extremely hard. It sounds easier said than done. And it's going to be impossible. So that's how I'm going to play it. Just kind of just drop in between those levels like that. If they get filled, great. If they don't, then that's fine. Like I said, this is the part where, people like to use the phrase catching a falling knife. This would be in the context of catching a falling knife because, we're not seeing any bounces until we had one earlier today. So I would just be very, very cautious on your buys. Chaz Mitchell says, did you talk about Ondo yet? No, I have not. I will. C-Dub, what's up? Peter, what's up? Jay, what's up? Crackback, what's up? Z-Man, Luis, what's up, my dudes? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's hit Ondo real quick, man. Ondo has been one that's just been, oh my God. It's been beat up so bad. But in my opinion, great area to accumulate at. Okay, so we had 25 cents on the radar. Obviously, we went all the way down to 20 cents. Big wick down. So these exchanges are selling off, guys. They are doing whatever they got to do to liquidate everybody from this space. The Clarity Act, 20%, guys. Ondo's down 20% on the day. This is insane, dude. This is insane. 22%. Damn, this is crazy. So yeah, man, look. Let's go all the way back, man. Look at this. From July 2025, we were at $1.17. Back over here, let's see, September, we're almost at $2. Ondo has just been mollywopped. So yeah, we're sitting about December 24th. I'm sorry, $2.14. So we're basically almost where we were at launching price in February. So all the gains have been eradicated. So obviously you see the nice head and shoulders right here, basically played out, and now here we are. So is this the time to get rid of your Ondo? In my personal opinion, no. If you guys are looking for a new play, I mean, this maybe be one that you guys can keep on the radar. Maybe DCA between here and its prior low. But honestly, guys, like I just, I'm looking for, something that I can get 4 or 5x returns on. And this may take a year. Maybe this might take, 6 months. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm just DCAing into this. I had a pretty good position around $4,000 or $5,000 into it. I think I'm down like 1,000. So I'm going to start doubling down. We're down here at 20 cents. Hey, again, like I've always said, guys, I'm looking for 80 cents, maybe even $1. So that's going to be a nice 4 or 5x. I can definitely, pay off, my wife's car or something like that with that. So, you know what I mean? Look, just put in your minds that this is going to take about a year. Ignore everybody that's on, X right now telling us that we're going to go to 15K. Look, if you really believe that, then maybe you shouldn't be in crypto. Because like I said, at the end of the day, look, this is the part that where you just got to roll up your sleeves and you have to, grab your cojones and just do what you got to do. A lot of these coins are in price discovery to the downside. One coin that we'll give an example on is going to be Aptos. Aptos was a coin that was doing actually fairly well after, the drop that we had on October 10th. And then from there, guys, it just cascading down all the way down. And, we wicked all the way down to freaking 90 cents. This is just insane, dude. So I don't know about you guys, I don't know if this is winning, but we're not winning, crypto's a joke in my opinion, I think the way other countries are looking at crypto right now, they're looking at us like we're a joke. And, I don't want to get political again, guys, but I'm just so disappointed in just the way things have been kind of transpiring with just this administration and just how, there's just been constant just backsliding on everything. But, what can we do? As far as our investments, all we can do is just try to make better choices and just get out of things that don't make sense. Now, Aptos is something that, in my opinion, doesn't really look like it makes sense right now. Now, this is something that may be like an XEN. Maybe you might hold this thing for a year and you might do a 35x. I would really probably limit my exposure a little bit. Maybe put a couple hundred in there for just a lottery pick. But as far as dropping massive amounts of money in this, I would be very cautious, be very, very skeptical about, putting serious money in here because, these coins that are just underneath this liquidation level, they're in serious trouble. And this even goes for AVAX. AVAX is a coin that I have held for a long time. My buy entry was pretty, not the best, but, I got in around $14. Right now I'm down about 40% on it. So doesn't feel good. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely not going to give Wall Street or whoever is, doing this, my cryptocurrency. So, I'm going to keep doing what I got to do. I recommend you guys, again, please, if you have any cryptocurrencies, please take them off the exchanges, guys. I have links in my description below. Look into Tangem. That's a great cold storage wallet that you guys can offload your cryptocurrencies on. You guys can, get your coins off these, sketchy exchanges, because remember, guys, this is the point to where, I'm not trying to scare people, but this is where, exchanges can start being exploited for not really holding what they say they have. And so I just really encourage you guys that, if you guys are holding stuff, on any of these sketchy exchanges, to please, take my warning and get you guys, a good, reputable, cold wallet, and get your stuff safe. Jose Hernandez says, give Jump a like, plebs. For sure, man. Let's see. Let's cover Solana real quick. This is one that I made sure that I told you guys, do not buy it. Solana has just been smacked bad, man. Really, really bad. Came right underneath that wick level. We talked about $55 to 77. I think we came down to 66, if I may believe. $68. So if you were scattering those buys between those levels, you got pretty good. So we called out 55. So we're up about 13% from that call right there. Solana still, guys, in my opinion, can come back down here to 50, even $30. I want to see us hold this area. For me right now, I'm still on the sidelines of Solana. Solana's been doing really well. Again, just like XRP has been doing great. But, now it's starting to see its big correction. So obviously we're underneath, where we were in April. Super, super bearish. Let's see where we were back in around. Yeah, so we're even lower than where we were last year in September. So very, very bearish. We haven't seen this low since September. The beginning of September of 2024. So almost 2 years. So Solana's been in a really, you guys have been in Solana since it was down here at $10. You guys have been spoiled for a long time. And now, it's reality's coming back and Solana's getting smacked up. So, $60 in my opinion is going to be a good zone, and then $40. So 60 and $40 in my opinion are going to be, those key areas of support. I know there's a lot of people that were saying that Solana was going to go to $1,000. I know a lot of big reputable, crypto channels like Discover Crypto, a lot of the bigger channels that were calling Solana to go to 1,000. And I've always been really dismissive of that. And now you guys see firsthand, like, this was never going to happen. These people got probably a lot of people hurt. So at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. Miles, what's popping, my dude? You're going to sell your BMW? I'm telling you what, man, if Bitcoin goes down to 17K, I'm going to have to get rid of my Z06, bro. So let me know if you want to buy it. Let's hit AVAX real quick, guys. Again, these are going to be generational buys in the long run. Not right now, obviously. So AVAX is sitting in at around $8, I believe. So we wicked all the way down here to 750. Man, this is crazy, guys. Let me go into the Discord real quick. I need to go in the Discord and check this out real quick in the KGU. All right, so let's see. AVAX, we had 875 to 750 new target. I gave that update in the morning. Give me 1 second. So 775, my bad. Yeah, so we almost hit. Oh, we did hit, my bad. So we said 875 to 750. We came exactly to 756. So if you were putting in some buy orders there, they got filled between those areas. So that's good. Eventually, like I said, guys, I think that, AVAX is going to do okay. Maybe we won't go back to, 50 or 60, but, Having a short-term gain of maybe going back up to 28, $30 is definitely something that I think is maybe a good ROI for somebody. Jonathan says, still can go to 1,000 eventually. I don't know, man. I mean, I honestly, dude, it's going to need some serious money and some serious trust from from the actual retail investor for us to have that kind of confidence, in my opinion. Another good coin that, that I think may go up in some time, maybe might be Crow. Let's check out crypto.com real quick. Crypto.com came all the way down to 6 cents. My God, bro. This is insane. It came almost exactly down to where I'd always say where it wicks, it sticks. Exact bounce right here. Crazy, man. These coins will always revisit where they last pulled back to, or where they had the bounce from. And if you go back, you draw your trend line back to where we were back in July, same thing. It may not be perfect, but these coins pretty much line back up where they were. So, crypto.com came up almost to 40 cents. That whole news about them partnering up with Donald Trump media, whatever, that was probably the top. Obviously it was. What are my thoughts on World Liberty 5? Honestly, bro, I used to be bullish on it, but not anymore. And only because, man, just the Trump narrative, man, everything that this guy touches, brother, like it's just, it hasn't really done well. I guess this really kind of depends on, what happens with crypto. It's sitting at 11 cents, so not a bad, area to get in at, but I still think that, when we came down here in October, we still have a lot of room to come down on. So we had a flash wick down here to 10 cents that got ate up. I think personally, in my opinion, maybe around 9 cents, maybe 10 cents, start DCAing. But we start coming back up to that 20 cents, brother, I would be getting out. For Link, let's hit Link up real quick. Link was another coin, man, that I've been buying aggressively. When we crashed down to 7 something, I bought 500 Link. But this one, man, it's just been getting beat down. Look at that. I have a bearish pennant right here, around $5. This was our bear market low back in 2022. So let's go back here to the 4-hour real quick. So back here in 2023, we were sitting here around $5.60. So, hopefully Link will see better days, guys. So from 2022, basically all the way to 2023, guys, we kind of ranged in this zone between $5 to $8 for a year. So we cooked there for a year, and then back in 2024, we had that run up to $20. And then we came back up here for December on the election for that blow off top. And that was all she wrote, man. So very, very disappointing. But, we're at $8. So right now, my man, I would set some orders up here around $7.15 and around $6.50. So a lot of these levels that we hit already, they got invalidated already. And like I said, I don't want to just keep, I don't want to keep just buying around this area if we still have bearish sentiment. So whatever we got going on, remember, we still have 9 months, 12 months left in this bear market. So, we can count September, October, whatever, November, December, January, February, March. We're still 5 months into this. So we still got another 4 months, guys. So sometime maybe around May, June, we should probably be seeing some type of life back in the market. So remember, we have this clarity bill that's supposed to be passing in April. You see how the goalposts got moved. It went from January to February, and then to March, and then now the president's hopeful to sign it in April. So, it's a lot of can kicking down the road. It sucks, but what can you do, man? The only thing that you can do is just, like I said, stay locked in. you're going to have your buddies and some people even in the discords, man, like, oh, you're dumb for being in crypto. But look, man, as fast as this stuff can go down is as fast as it can rebound. And I've been here since, 2019, 2018 cycle. I've been down massive amounts of money. There was a point last year where I was down almost 140,000, almost close to 180,000 at one point, and it didn't feel good. I ended up making a crap load of money, and then giving some of it back, but still up overall. And this is how it goes, man. Some people just don't know how to let things do what they got to do. Nobody has control of these markets, obviously. So we just gotta let it go, man. Let's see. You guys can throw me out something else, man. I don't know if you talked about ETH. I just joined. What do you think ETH's next support is? 1,500. So we just went over that in the beginning. We can hit it again real quick for you. I don't want you to have to rewind all this. So right now, what I'm paying attention to, brother, is 1,750, and then keeping 1,500 again. Yes, on the radar. We put that out in the Discord. But again, if we start getting really bad, bro, we should be expecting anywhere between $1,000 and even $900 ETH. So I know it's crazy, man, but it can happen. So just keep that on the radar. But this is also like a generational buying opportunity. If ETH goes down to $1,000, I mean, look, there's just got to be a point to where it's like, look, you put in, $5,000 or $6,000, you buy six ETH, you're kind of rolling the dice for 20% down versus, maybe 200, 300, 400% upside. So in my opinion, that's a good risk to reward. Loading zone. Like Grant said. Let's see. Let's hit Litecoin real quick. I know some people like Litecoin. That's not one of my favorites, but just, maybe for shits and giggles, maybe somebody might like that. Litecoin does not look very prosperous right now. So bear flag on it. I would be looking maybe scoop up Litecoin maybe around 48, 46 bucks. In my personal opinion, this is not going to be a winner. If I'm going to be buying any type of altcoin, it's going to be something that's going to have staying power, in my opinion. Okay. But, Litecoin, some people like that stuff. I know there's a few traders that were buying it. Just in my personal opinion, I'd rather hold Solana or something else. Okay. Let's hit HBAR real quick. HBAR is a coin also that is, was super bullish. It was holding really well, but again, victim of, of massive selling. So again, a lot of these coins, man, they were looking so good, but they're just going to be victim to everything that's happening in the market. So 7 cents, guys, back in, I think 2024, I made a bet with somebody. I invested $5,000 into HBAR when we were at 4 cents. We later on, it went to about almost 40 cents. So that was about a 10x. And since then, guys, it's just been a cascade down. Obviously, you guys see it. Now we are looking like we may have a little bit of a bounce. We had a nice bounce right here at this level at 7.2. So look, maybe we can look for something around maybe 10, 12 cents in the next couple of weeks. But I know a lot of people, when I was especially new to the KGU, there were so many people that were bullish on HBAR. And now that we're here, I wonder, are you guys going to buy now? So yes, we can come back down to 4 cents, maybe 6 cents. But in my personal opinion, this is a great time to maybe take a position on HBAR. Okay. Real quick, let's hit Morpho. Morpho is a lending protocol that's on Coinbase. Remember, people are going to be taking out loans. We wicked down here to 94 cents. We got a nice little spike up. We were sitting really high at 135. This was just 2 days ago. We were sitting at 135, and I was telling one of my guys, one of my buddies in my Discord, I was like, guys, man, Morpho hasn't really been coming down. But sure enough, Bitcoin is the way, man. And if it starts acting up, look at that, 30% in just a couple days. So Nice little bounce here at 94 cents. This is a good project in my opinion. AVE, Morpho. Again, guys, if you're looking long term, this is definitely going to be one that I would consider keeping on your radar. Okay, so I would personally be looking to buy around 50 cents, 80 cents if we go full-fledged bear. Remember, we came back down here around 80 cents back in Liberation Day. Since then, we have been pretty much holding that line until now. We barely broke below it. So, we're sitting around, in this upper dollar right now. So, in my opinion, look, if you're wanting to get a lower market cap than something like AVE, this is definitely something that I would consider. So, again, set your orders up between 50 to 80 cents. If you want to take a position now, just be gentle. And then speaking of lending protocols, let's look at AVE real quick. AVE is another great cryptocurrency. I bought this one at $45 back in 2022. I got close up to 300 and I started taking profits. This is another great one. Right now we're sitting at $100. This is insane, guys. $100. So around August, we're sitting almost close to 400. So we're down a pretty big amount. I think 60%, 70%. So in my personal opinion, guys, this is something to keep on your radar. As far as buying levels, keep $70 on the radar. If we start flashing below, we may come down to 45, 50, but this is another great coin that I would definitely keep on the radar. Okay, and then let's hit Aerodrome. Aerodrome Finance is a Coinbase darling. Look at this thing, man. Got obliterated. 27 cents. Remember, this was another coin that I talked to you guys about. 25 cents was the loading zone. Off by 2 cents. So, this is a coin that's down massively. Remember, guys, this is Coinbase's coin right here. So, this is going to be the leader in DeFi, in base. I think that, this is probably a zone where, hey, are you willing to risk a little bit? We have some order blocks down here at 15 cents, 20 cents, 25. Those are the areas that I would be looking to pick up some. I do hold AERO, a small amount, but I'm going to probably start adding some maybe later on tonight. I'm going to wait a little bit and then start, adding to that position. All right, let's see. Aerodrome. But it's good to see some of you guys tapped in, man. I only saw like 2 or 3 people at first when I got in here. I was like, man, is this going to be one of these kind of streams? So I appreciate you guys, for showing support here, guys. Trust me. Look, man, I get it. Look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I did not want to come online today. I just kind of wanted to just chill out, man, and reflect on some stuff. But you know what? It's good to talk to people, man. It's good to come out here and just, hey, man, we have to kind of acknowledge this. I mean, these are our investments. You can be one of these kind of people that just, go off into the abyss, or you can do something about it. And, look, for you guys that are working, I encourage you guys, please don't quit your jobs. Hey, DoorDash, some of you guys out here that, y'all go strip or something like that. And I'm talking to the men, not the women out here. Just, go do something, man. Go get a second job. Go take some pictures of your feet pee or some of my dude friends in here that got pretty feet. Do what you got to do, man, to make extra cash. Like, you know what? Look, this is the part, man, where, people that double down and they stay convicted in the market, they're going to see these big gains. And like I said, man, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep continuing to try to make content, and I just pray that, you guys stick with me and bear with me. I'm going to probably invest in some better lighting so that way, we can get more legit. But I'm definitely working on some stuff here, man. And it's just, I get it, man. It's unmotivating sometimes. But, look, man, we just got to take this one day at a time. I think a lot of times we try to get rich overnight. And it's not going to happen. This is a process. I think now we kind of all see like now, okay, shit, this is what crypto can really do, man. We can lose a lot of money if we're not careful. So once we start getting to this level now where it's like, okay, you understand risk management now people will understand the importance of being conservative on their buys and knowing when to get out. So we know like all the, top signals. And when we start seeing retail coming back in, when we start seeing everybody like talk about crypto, these are all things that we just have to keep on the back of our minds. Like, oh man, my grandma's talking about crypto. My neighbor's talking about crypto. Man, right now, if you say anything about crypto, you're going to get pepper sprayed. So, this is the time to buy. So guys, look, just continue to play the course. I get it. But, patience and just letting these things play out, it's going to take time. We've seen this something similar back in, 2018, 2019 when, Trump was president last time. We had so much chaos in the markets. And then, we end up seeing that blow off top. So, we just got, like I said, guys, just stay the course. Continue to uplift, people in the community. I encourage you guys to be active in the group and just, give people positivity. And that's why I'm here, guys. Look, trust me. I thought about popping open a little Michelob and just, just kind of drown my sorrows away. But look, at the end of the day, what's that going to solve, man? Nothing. So we'll be okay. And if not, then we're not. But I'm sure that we will. All right, let's look at a few more coins and then we'll wrap it up. Let's look at Hyperliquid real quick. Hyperliquid has been doing really good, man. I've been actually really surprised about this. Look at this, $36. This is crazy. But again, guys, rising wedge, bearish pattern. I am looking for a correction on this bad boy. So eventually this is going to fall victim to a lot of these other altcoins. It's going to lose steam. So I'm actually looking maybe to possibly short this bad boy. I'm going to keep $38 on the radar. If we get another attempt to come back to the high, I'm going to be looking for a short. I do want to see this thing cool down. I want to check the RSI real quick. I'm pretty sure this thing is just calling my name. So yeah, we do have some bearish divergence here. So you have, price going up. You have price going up and then, momentum going down a little bit. So we need to keep that on the radar. Let's see how the next few, days play out. But eventually, like I said, I am going to look for some type of retracement. So let's see what happens. Joe, what's up, Joe? Jesse, what's up, brother? How you doing? Guys, if you can, please make sure you smash the like buttons. I appreciate you guys for giving me your time of day. I know you guys probably have a lot more better things to do than watch me. But again, guys, I appreciate everybody that, comes on and just, shows their support for, KGU and plebs and just even what I do, man. It's been a blessing just to be able to talk to people, man. I don't take you guys for granted. I try to be as real as possible as far as like what I give in advice and, price targets. I see a lot of people that, they just give out the most outlandish price targets. And my main prerogative, guys, is just always remember, let you guys know, like, look, this space is dangerous. Okay. But there's ways that you can go about it. If you try to mitigate your risk and try to, stay level headed and not get trapped into FOMO, your chances of surviving this is a lot better. So, like I said, I just try to, keep an honest, integrity outlook with everybody. And that's just something that, I strive for. All right. So real quick, this is Pith. This is another coin that has just been beat down 4 cents. I think the all-time high for this bad boy was around $1.15. This is insane. Look at this, man. Look at that. Oh my God. This is like a roller coaster, man. Nuts. I think this is almost down, 98%. 96%. So this bad boy has just been beat down. But, we have a double bottom. This is where our liquidation low was here at 4 cents. So kind of interested a little bit in this. So I'm going to keep this on my radar. Again, guys, not buying too much crazy altcoins, but if I have a few $100 loose left over from, here and there, I'm going to be dropping some little bits of few bit of little $100 here and there in some of these little shit coins, okay? So I guess I'm gonna have to tell the wife no Valentine's Day this year. We're gonna have to watch some movies. There ain't gonna be no James Prime, baby. We're gonna have to stay our asses at home and get some McDonald's. You're gonna get a McDouble, baby. It's crazy, man, because I never would have thought in a million years, man, that this would have happened like this, man. But you know, it is what it is. And one thing about, you know, me, man, my wife is a soldier, man. We've been through a lot of shit together, and you know, she's a real one. So, you know, she's Latina, so she don't give a damn. As long as you feed her, she's good. But I mean, we had something planned out, man. So, you know, we're just probably gonna chill. You know, just maybe watch a movie and just chill, man. At the end of the day, look, you know, I can spend money like anybody else, but I want to be a good steward of money. You know, I want this to be a finance channel one day. And like I said, man, I think this is going to be a point where people are going to have to relax, you know, on some of the careless spending. Like people that are smoking, drinking, and drugging and stuff like that. I think this is a point of where, you know, people really should be trying to get clean, you know, do things, you know, that are financially better for your situation, you know, for little TMI, but I used to do all these things, guys. And, you know, like I said, I'm not perfect, but, you know, I've been trying consistently to improve in a lot of areas where like I've lacked at. And, you know, one thing that, you know, like I do a lot is I go out to eat. So, you know, me and my wife are just trying to calm down on the going out to eat, splurging. You know, if we go out to eat, try to keep it somewhere that's just, you know, a little affordable. We used to go to a lot of these Brazilian steakhouses and, you know, just calm down a little bit. So real quick, guys, Sui is at 89 cents, so 90 cents. This thing is on what we call 5 and below discount levels. We have a target here at 46 cents. Okay, so 46 cents is an area where I think that would be maybe something that you guys should keep on the area of on your radars. 77 cents, around that 47 cents. Okay. Again, I think we all know what Sui is. Sui's you know, a layer 1. So just keep it on your radar, guys. Let's hit say real quick, and then we're gonna wrap it up, man. All right, so say 7 cents. Another coin that's just been victimized, man. Look at this. Oh my God. $1.14. So we have let's see, double bottom. Bear flag played out. So this might be one that, like, again, guys, I would consider just keeping it on the radar. Jay says, was going to go ice fishing yesterday, but now I'm sick next week. Oh, man, that sounds fun. Luis Martinez says, buy crypto, not drugs. You got it, my brother. Yes, sir. All right, my friends. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, man. Like I said, again, I just had to hop on here, guys, you know, and just show some love to the community. You know, a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning of the stream, but I get it, man. Look, it's just one of these days, man. I can tell people are just not really interested, and I understand, but I just implore you guys to please, like, you know, you're gonna have to work a little bit. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices. You're gonna have to make some adjustments, but I'm here every step of the way. You guys know that. So again, let's end it off with you know, some positivity, man. Like I said, at the end of the day, you know, all this craziness that's happening, I think everybody's seeing things unfold on the internet, you know, with Epstein and all this stuff like that. And, you know, man, in this crazy world and just with stuff that, you know, is happening in our homes. And I think we've become to be so reliant on government, and people have looked up to these political leaders, and they've just continually again continue to let us down. And I've learned through personal experiences that I should be putting my faith in God. and not man. And you know, and that's just something that's real, man. Like, you know, I'm gonna be real with you guys before I hop off. You know, I would almost say that I want to use worship, but I put Trump on this massive pedestal, and you could do no wrong. He could do no wrong in my eyes, and it just took like all this, you know. And I'm not saying I believe all the bullshit that's on, you know, the news and stuff like that, but I just seen something different. You know, there's something different. If you guys are still with him, that's cool. Like, I'm not trying to get there, but I'm just more on the aspect where I've had to learn how to just put things in God's hands and not in his hands, because at the end of the day, God uses these people as tools, like, you know, to guide the country where it needs to go. I don't know what this guy's intent is. You know, sometimes I don't even know if he knows what his intent is, but at the end of the day, I serve a just God. And if there is stuff that's on that list, man, if there is things that are happening, I ask that God please expose it. Expose all this corruption that's in this market, and just even with these people, man. You know, it's sad to see the amount of, you know, just so much evil in this country, man. And, you know, I pray for you guys, and I pray for, you know, your investments, pray for your families. And most of all, man, I just pray for this country, because there was a period in time where we loved each other, where, hey, you know what? I didn't give a shit if you were a Democrat, or you didn't give a shit if I was a Republican. You know, I didn't give a shit if you liked the Rockets or whatever. Or, you know, it's just so much damn fighting. And I really think that, you know, we need to get back to a point where we go back to loving one another, lifting people up, stop all this bullshit, you know, where it's just, you know, we stop talking to our family because, you know, we think different from one another, because they win when they divide us. And it took me as a 40-year-old man to finally understand that. But one thing that I will say is that, you know what, I'm glad that I saw this as a 40-year-old man than a 70-year-old man that's just stubborn and stuck in his ways. And like I said, man, we'll end this off here, guys. Again, I appreciate everybody that continues to watch me. You know, I pray for you guys again, you know, and I pray for the growth of this channel. And we're going to keep doing it, man. Like I said, regardless if it's one person watching or 15 people watching, we're going to continue to do big things. And we'll get there. All right, guys.